Good evening. Welcome back to Hellhound's Late Night Spook Show here on the Horror and Metal channel. So, I finally saw Scream 5, or sorry, Scream, just calling it Scream. Scream 2022, I guess is what people are calling it. Yeah, it's the same title as the original, stupidly. It's a fifth Scream film, but it's just called Scream. But at least in the movie they do acknowledge that. They do kind of make fun of that. I guess it's kind of like a parody of other sequels that have the same name as the original, which is asinine, if you ask me. But whatever, it's the title. It's not that important, I guess. But anyway, yeah, finally saw Scream. I know I'm really behind because all my other friends have already seen it. I was supposed to go see it in the theater, but things kept coming up, and so I watched it earlier today on Paramount Plus. I wanted to really quickly share my thoughts and first impressions. So it's still pretty fresh in my mind. You know, I just saw it a few hours ago. Well, overall, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. Now, the thing is, I haven't seen Scream 3 or 4 for several years. I remember very little about them. I've probably only watched Scream 4 probably twice. And I think I've only watched Scream 3 about twice as well. The only ones I've seen multiple times are the first two. And I think this is probably my third favorite. The only one that I think is truly great is the original. That's the only one I consider like anything like a classic. So yeah, this is by far my favorite. But even then, I'm not like, it's not like one of my, it wouldn't be in my top 20 favorite horror films or anything. I think it's great for what it is. You know, it's very very cool idea. You know, kind of poking fun at all these standard horror cliches and tropes. They're popular in like horror movies from the 70s and 80s. It's a cool idea. And this is kind of one of the first to really do that, to have the whole self-aware, kind of meta, self-referential, kind of parody type thing, but on top of that being an actual, straight-up horror movie at the same time. This is one of the first, and still one of the best, because a lot of horror movies do that now. They seem to have some kind of gimmick like that. But anyway, yeah, so the original film pretty much just poked fun at, kind of parodied just horror movies in general. Of course, Scream 2, the theme was horror sequels. Then Scream 3 was all about trilogies and how the final installment in a movie usually had some kind of shocking revelation or something. Then Scream 4 was kind of about remakes. And then this new Scream, just called Scream. I'm just going to call it Scream 5, okay? To me, it's Scream 5. Yeah, Scream 5 just kind of poked fun at requels, which is basically like a sequel, but it's kind of like a reboot at the same time. It has like, even the movie acknowledges this. They have a character who's kind of like Randy Meeks who brings it up and explains what there's legacy characters, returning characters, of course, this time being, of course, Sidney and Gale and Dewey, all returning. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette all reprising their roles from the other four movies. So yeah, they all return. And it does kind of have the feel of like movies like Halloween 2018 and stuff like that. But yeah, I really liked it. This is going to be a spoiler-free miniature review, by the way. I'm not going to reveal any spoilers. Maybe someday I'll do a spoiler review when I get the movie on Blu-ray at some point. And I just realized I haven't reviewed any of the Scream movies here on this channel yet. I really need to do that. I haven't talked about the first one a little bit in my top 10 Wes Craven movies video. And I discussed them a few times in live streams, such as Morbid Hour and Blood Spatter Trio. But I really need to give them all individual reviews. But yeah, like I said, I don't hold Scream as in quite as high of a regard as, say, a Halloween or Friday the 13th. Yeah, I love it. I love the first one, and I like the sequels for what they are. I don't think anything's, I don't think it has a downright terrible entry or anything. Some are just lesser than others. But like I said, I don't remember 3 or 4 that much. So I got friends who like Scream is like the be-all, end-all of horror to them, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. To me, it's just not, And like I said, the only one that comes close is the first one. That's the only one I consider a classic. And so I kind of think the same thing about this one. Like I said, I think it's my third favorite. Yeah, all the new characters were fine. It was great to see them kind of team up with Dewey and Gale and Sidney. Yeah, returning. Like I said, poked fun at requels. Talked about how there's legacy characters and there's new characters and there's things from the past going back to haunt them, all that stuff. This is the usual kind of tropes that these movies usually have. Now, the trailer kind of made me think that this one was going to be really, really serious and, like, really dark. That's not really quite the case. There's still plenty of humor in it. It's still, you know, got plenty of comic relief and stuff, just like all the other Scream movies do. It's kind of a staple of this series, is that they're almost like horror comedies. And this movie wasn't quite as gory or graphic as I thought it would be. It may possibly be the bloodiest and most violent out of all the Scream movies, though, again, I don't remember a whole lot about Scream 3 or 4. Because, yeah, most of the kills are done with a knife. There are mostly stabbings. And a few of them were pretty gruesome. Like, there's things like, you know, a knife going through somebody's face and, like, coming out going to the side of their mouth, the side of their face, and coming out the cheek. And there's plenty of moments like that. So the stabbings that we do see are pretty horrific. So it probably is the most brutal and sadistic of the Scream movies thus far. Quite possibly. But it's just not quite as gory as I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be really, really violent. I thought there were going to be people, you know, see people getting, like, disemboweled and dismembered and, like, gutted and just, you know, eviscerated. That's what I thought. And I think I'd read a review that said it was going to be all those things. It was going to be really, really gruesome and just really graphic in its gore. But it really wasn't, which is fine. It's not a big deal. These movies are really known for their excessive gore anyway. But this one is, yeah, pretty brutal. Though, like I said, most of the kills are done with just a stabbing. So yeah, Ghostface this time around, he's a lot clumsier and like kind of more vulnerable, like and more human than other slasher villains. Go figure. After all, he's just an ordinary mortal. But yeah, he's done very well. You know, got the voice again. Was that Roger Jackson? Because the voice over the phone and stuff sounded way different to me. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, there's still the phone calls that are, you know, akin to When a Stranger Calls and Black Christmas and stuff. There's still plenty of there's still plenty of other horror movies that are referenced. This time it's kind of references movies like Halloween 2018 and stuff like that, requels, I guess. It talks about how remakes are kind of becoming passé, and there's a character that explains it all, just like, you know, just like Randy did in the original, which is pretty cool. You know, it has all the same tropes and standards. There were a few, like, silly moments. There are some characters that made really stupid decisions. Like, there's one character, without spoiling it too much, he makes a really dumb decision. Then he goes back and says, oh, I made a dumb decision. Let me go fix that. And him fixing it becomes an even dumber decision. And then costs him to meet his fate, which is, you know... yeah, just a lot of really stupid moments like that kind of rub me the wrong way. But that's kind of a standard for these type of movies. It's not a big deal. It's you know, expected to see that sort of thing in movies like this. This movie didn't really take a whole lot of risks like I thought it would. I remember, you know, Scream 4's tagline was yeah, new decade, new rules. Barely. This movie didn't take a whole lot of risks, and this one didn't either, really. There's one huge thing I can think of that I kind of figured they were going to do. In fact, leading up to that moment, like the sequence of events, I was like, oh yeah, I know it's coming here, and sure enough, that's what happened. And yeah, it was kind of a spit in the face, to be honest. Like, I knew it was going to happen, but it's still kind of like, did they really have to do it that way? But whatever, I guess they needed some kind of shocking moment. But other than that, there weren't like a whole lot of risks being taken. And didn't really seem there was that many new rules. This was a really good Scream sequel, but it was just that. It was just another Scream sequel for the most part. Like I said, I really did enjoy it. I'd give it probably about an 8 out of 10. But for the most part, all in all, it kind of was just another Scream sequel. So I won't reveal who the killer or killers is, but I will say that like some of the other Scream movies, it's kind of inconsistent with this particular individual's body type, and some other things that kind of contradicted it, especially when it's revealed that, well, okay, I can't spoil it, I'm sorry. I'll have to do a spoiler review at some point. But yeah, what else? Yeah, it's great to see the returning characters come back. I like how they still talk about the Stab franchise. Is it just me, or does anybody else out there really want to see the Stab movies? Like, I kind of want to see them, you know, being actually made. They seem kind of fascinating, even though, you know, the first few are just based on the real, you know, we already see them in these movies. We've seen these movies already, how they unfold. But it's funny how one character, they make a reference to the fact that they say one of the most recent Stab movies is just called Stab. That's stupid. Why'd they do that? And I think that is funny. So, yeah, really good joke, but I still would rather them just call it Scream 5, because who are we kidding, you know, are they trying to hide the fact that it's a sequel, or sorry, I guess a requel, but yeah, it's great to see all the characters returning. I like how they all came together again. I like how they, were tied to the plot. Yeah, there were some things from the past. A few of them were a little far-fetched. Like, there's a few characters that are connected to characters from the past movies, and a couple of them are kind of like, oh, really? Huh. Isn't that something? Like, that's quite a coincidence. But it works. There was a character I was really hoping to see, but that wasn't in this movie, which is kind of a bummer. But there was another character I was not expecting to see at all. Like, don't worry, I will not give it away. But you'll know what I mean when you see the movie. But yeah, what else can I say without totally spoiling it? Yeah, some of the settings and locations from the first film were prevalent here. Some of the scenes took place in previous settings from the other movies, which was kind of cool. Yeah, some of the characters discover things about their past, just like the other Scream movies. A lot of the characters, like I said, are tied to characters from past movies, and it's kind of interesting the way they pull that off. The way I won't spoil it, but the way the killer meets their demise at the end was pretty cool. I like the way that was done. There were a few like kind of cheesy one-liners, but that's kind of the standard for these movies. There's a lot of those in Scream 4 as well, so I wouldn't expect any less. But all in all, I definitely recommend it. I'd say definitely go see it. I thought it was really, really good. I'll have to watch it again to kind of get it, to really properly rank it among the others. And I probably need to watch all the rest of these as well. I need to have a Scream marathon. I need to watch the others. I was planning to do that before I watch this newest one, but I see can get around to it. But I'll probably do that now because, like I said, Scream 3 and Scream 4 are not very fresh in my mind at all. I barely remember them. But yeah, definitely see this new Scream movie. It's definitely a worthy entry to the series. I really like how they paid a lot of tribute to Wes Craven. Who's that was nice to see. I liked that. It's kind of a loving homage to the legendary late great Wes Craven. That was cool. I like that. And I'm trying to think. Trying to make sure I don't leave anything out because I know there's a lot I wanted to talk about without spoiling anything. Well, I guess if I think of anything else, I'll leave it in the description below. All right, guys. Well, let me know what you thought of Scream 5 in the comments below, and I'm probably gonna watch have me a Scream marathon here soon, and then I'm probably gonna give each movie its individual review. And when Scream 5 comes on Blu-ray, I probably will give it another review with spoilers as well, because I really do want to talk about the killer reveal and the ending and how some of the other characters were tied to some events from the other movies and characters and whatnot. I really want to discuss that more at length and kind of go in more in depth, because without spoiling anything, there's not really a whole lot of things like I'm kind of limited as to what I can talk about. Right, guys. Well, oh, by the way, I actually didn't guess who the killer was this time. And but then again, I wasn't really trying very hard to. So I don't know. I wouldn't really say it was obvious, but the motivation was a little interesting. It was kind of something different. But like I said, this did kind of just feel like another Scream sequel. To be fair, there's not a whole lot you could do with this formula. These movies are kind of limited because, how many times can a copycat killer dress up like Ghostface and, go after a group of characters in the same setting and then, have, Gale and Dewey and Sidney come back? How many times can they do that without being too unbelievable? But alright, guys, let me know what you thought of the movie in the comments below. I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching my late night spook show here on the Horror and Metal channel. Until next time, later.